unmasking the 19th century murderer who terrorized the nation as Jack the Ripper. Before we get into it, please remember to like and subscribe. It's a small click for you, but for us, it does really mean a lot. And always remember, a dark chapter in London's history. The Jack the Ripper killings of 1888 were one of the most notorious and perplexing murder sprees in history. The unidentified serial killer terrorized the streets of Whitechapel, a poverty-stricken district in London, targeting vulnerable women and committing gruesome acts of violence. Despite the passage of over a century, the true identity of Jack the Ripper remains a mystery. We'll delve into the details of the killings, explore the social context of Victorian London, and examine the possible suspects who have been linked to this enigmatic figure. Chapter 1. Background and the Whitechapel Murders. In the late 1800s, London was a city grappling with extreme poverty, overcrowding, and social unrest. In the heart of this urban decay lay Whitechapel, a district known for its destitution and high crime rates. It was during this tumultuous time that a series of brutal murders sent shockwaves throughout the city. Between August and November 1888, Jack the Ripper claimed the lives of at least 5 women: Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. The victims were all impoverished prostitutes who fell prey to the killer's vicious attacks. Each murder displayed a similar modus operandi, involving throat slashing, mutilation, and removal of organs, which suggested a level of anatomical knowledge. Chapter 2. Possible suspects. Throughout the investigation, and even in subsequent years, several names emerged as potential suspects in the Jack the Ripper case. While none of them have been definitively proven to be the culprit, they offer insight into the diverse range of individuals who were under suspicion. Suspect 1. Montague John Druitt. Druitt, a barrister and teacher, was one of the first suspects in the case. He exhibited erratic behavior and was reportedly mentally unstable. The fact that he committed suicide shortly after the last Ripper murder led some to speculate that he was driven by guilt. However, there is no solid evidence connecting him to the crimes. Suspect 2. Aaron Kosminski. Kosminski, a Polish immigrant and resident of Whitechapel, became a prime suspect in later years. He suffered from mental illness and was known to have a violent disposition towards women. Although his name was mentioned by Chief Inspector Donald Swanson, who worked on the case, there is no conclusive evidence tying Kosminski directly to the murders. Suspect 3. Francis Tumblety. Tumblety, an American actor, attracted significant attention as a possible suspect. He had a history of violence and a rumored fascination with human anatomy. Arrested for unrelated offenses, Tumblety managed to escape to the United States before any formal investigation could be conducted. Suspect 4. Royal conspiracy theories. Some conspiracy theories suggest that Jack the Ripper had ties to the British royal family. These theories propose individuals such as Queen Victoria's physician, Sir William Gull, as the true culprit. However, these claims lack substantial evidence and are largely based on speculation and imagination. Chapter 3. Sarah Bax Horton, whose great-great-grandfather was a policeman at the heart of the Ripper investigation, has unearthed compelling evidence that matches witness descriptions of the man seen with female victims shortly before they were stabbed to death in 1888 in the East End of London. Her detective work has led her to Chaim Hyams, who lived in an area at the center of the murders and who, as a cigar maker, knew how to use a knife. He was an epileptic and an alcoholic who was in and out of mental asylums, his condition worsening after he was injured in an accident and unable to work. He repeatedly assaulted his wife, paranoid that she was cheating on him, and was eventually arrested after he attacked her and his mother with a chopper. Significantly, Mrs. Bax Horton gained access to his medical records and discovered dramatic details. She told The Telegraph, "For the first time in history, Jack the Ripper can be identified as Hyam Hyams using distinctive physical characteristics. Witnesses described a man in his mid-30s with a stiff arm and an irregular gait with bent knees, and Miss Bax Horton discovered that the medical notes of Hyams, who was 35 in 1888, recorded an injury that left him unable to bend or extend his left arm, as well as an irregular gait and an inability to straighten his knees with asymmetric foot dragging. He also had the most severe form of epilepsy, with regular seizures. The victims were prostitutes or destitute. Their throats were cut and their bodies butchered in frenzied attacks, with the authorities received taunting anonymous notes from someone calling himself Jack the Ripper. They are some of the most infamous unsolved crimes. At least 6 women, Martha Tabram, Polly Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Kate Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, were killed in or near Whitechapel between August and November 1888. Hyam's medical notes, taken from various infirmaries and asylums, reveal that his mental and physical decline coincided with the Ripper's killing period, escalating between his breaking his left arm in February 1888 and his permanent committal in September 1889. That escalation path matched the increasing violence of the murders, said Mrs. Bax Horton. He was particularly violent after his severe epileptic fits, which explains the periodicity of the murders. She added, in the files, it said what the eyewitnesses said. He was weak at the knees and wasn't fully extending his legs. When he walked, he had a kind of shuffling gait, which was probably a side effect of some brain damage as a result of his epilepsy. Witness accounts of the man's height and weight were similar to the details in Hyam's medical files. Mrs. Bax Horton discovered they saw a man of medium height and build, tall, stout, and broad-shouldered. Hyams was 5'7.5 inches. His photograph demonstrates that he was noticeably broad-shouldered, she said. She has concluded that Hyam's physical and mental decline, exacerbated by his alcoholism, triggered him to kill. The murder stopped at the end of 1888, around the time Hyams was picked up by the police as a wandering lunatic. In 1889, he was incarcerated in the Corney Hatch Lunatic Asylum, North London, until his death in 1913. Jack the Ripper never struck again. Various suspects have previously been suggested as the man behind the killings, including the artist Walter Sickert, who painted gruesome pictures of a murdered prostitute. Hyams had been on a long list of around 100 culprits, but Miss Bax Horton said he had been discounted because he had been misidentified. When I was trying to identify the correct Hyams, I found about 5. It took quite a lot of work to identify his correct biographical data. Hyams has never before been fully explored as a Ripper suspect. To protect the confidentiality of living individuals, 2 of the Coney Hatch asylum files on patients, including Hyams, were closed to public view until 2013 and 2015. What makes her research particularly extraordinary is that it was prompted by her chance discovery in 2017 that her own great-great-grandfather, Harry Garrett, had been a Metropolitan Police Sergeant at Leman Street Police Station, headquarters of the Ripper investigation. He was posted there from January 1888, the murder's fateful year, until 1896. Ms. Bax Horton, who read English and modern languages at Oxford University, is a retired civil servant who volunteered with the City of London Police for almost 2 decades until 2020. She had no idea of her ancestors' history until she began researching her family and found herself studying the Ripper case. She will now present her extensive evidence in a forthcoming book titled One-Armed Jack: Uncovering the Real Jack the Ripper, to be published by Michael O'Mara Books next month. It is written in tribute to her ancestor and his police colleagues. Paul Begg, a leading Ripper authority, has endorsed it. This is a well-researched, well-written, and long-needed book-length examination of a likely suspect. If you have an idea of the sort of man Jack the Ripper might have been, Hyams could be it. Conclusion: the Jack the Ripper case continues to captivate the imagination of people worldwide. Despite numerous investigations and countless theories, the true identity of this infamous killer remains elusive. The brutal nature of the crimes, coupled with the social backdrop of Victorian London, has fueled fascination and inspired countless books, movies, and debates. While we may never definitively unmask Jack the Ripper, the case serves as a reminder of the darker aspects of society and the challenges faced in investigating historical crimes. In conclusion, the Jack the Ripper killings represented a dark chapter in London's history. The identity of the killer remains unknown, and the case continues to puzzle both historians and armchair detectives alike. The atmospheric and impoverished streets of Whitechapel provided a fertile ground for this mysterious figure to emerge and strike fear into the hearts of Victorian society. As time goes by, we can only hope that new evidence or breakthroughs in forensic technology will shed light on the true identity of Jack the Ripper and bring justice to the long-silent victims. And that's gonna do it. If you like this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe. We also want to hear from you on this issue. Comment down below and don't forget to like and subscribe.